welcome to another episode of Growing as Global Christians. Thanks for joining me. This week, let's pray for Russia. That's right, the massive country of Russia. 144 million people call Russia home, and Russia is the largest geographical country in the whole world. In fact, 1/10 of all the land on planet Earth can be found in the borders of Russia. That's amazing. 6.8 million square miles. It crosses 11 time zones and 2 continents. There are sandy deserts and frozen deserts. There are mountain peaks and giant marshes. In fact, did you know that in Russia alone, there are over 100,000 rivers? That's right, 100,000 rivers in one country. That's incredible. Russia is so diverse and it has a variety of animals as well. The black bear and the polar bear, leopards, and the famous Siberian tiger. But perhaps when you think of Russia, you think about the people and the culture. Maybe you in your mind visualize the Russian architecture or the Red Square. Or perhaps you think about the giant Siberian pine forest that stretches 1/3 of the country and the Trans-Siberian Railroad, which is the longest railroad in the country. Or perhaps you think about the famous babushka dolls, one doll stacking inside of another. Or maybe you think about the Russian food and drinks, the love for vodka and the famous cabbage soup, borscht. Or perhaps when you think of Russia, you think about the famous people, the thinkers like Tolstoy, or the composers, the musicians, the artists, or perhaps the Russian love for the ballet. There is much that can be said about this beautiful country, Russia, but today I'd like to give you 3 ways that you can be praying for Russia. Number 1, pray for the COVID-19 pandemic. Many of us don't realize it, but Russia is number 3 in the world with the most cases of COVID-19. In fact, there are close to 600,000 cases of COVID in Russia alone. 8,300 people have lost their lives. There's also been many reports of shortages of proper PPE equipment and problems with ventilators. So pray for Russia. Pray for the COVID-19 pandemic and the people of Russia. The second way you can be praying for Russia is pray for the church. Now, 71% of Russians would call themselves Christians, but the large majority of them are actually Russian Orthodox. In fact, only about 1% of Christians are evangelical Christians, meaning they're Bible-believing, Jesus-following Christians. In 2017, due to some anti-terrorism laws, Russia actually passed the Anti-Missionary Act, and that law says that you're not allowed to share your faith unless you're on the grounds of a church. Well, many of those 1% of evangelical Christians, as they have shared their faith with their friends and their neighbors, they become threatened and persecuted in many, many ways. In fact, right now, the Russian Christians are some of the most severely and continuously persecuted Christians in the whole world. So pray for the church, pray for protection, pray for boldness, and pray that God would continue to use the church to bring about great revival in Russia. And the third way that you can be praying for this country is for all of the social ills. Russia has a big problem with drug and alcohol addiction. Russia is number 2 in the world for abortions. There's rising HIV numbers. Right now, there are about 85,000 orphans and over 1 million children living on the streets of Russia. And for many years, Russia has had a huge problem with human trafficking. So pray for Russia. Pray that they would find hope and that they would find deliverance in Jesus. Thank you for your prayers for COVID-19, for the church, and for the social ills. God bless you and have a great week.